Okay, segment 6. This is Crime in Wrigleyville blog. And this is, we've talked about this a couple times this week, not the CWB, but this idea that, and I'm going to harp on it all the time, I'm going to harp on it every time they do it, either Crime in the Wrigleyville blog or the mainstream media, or hack machine politicians like Paul Vallis, who we talked about on Wednesday's show. You can't, it is illegitimate to compare 2020 crime statistics to what's going on in 2021. Well, I should say, comparing 2020 to 2019. You also can't, or any year before that, you also can't compare what's going on in 2021 now, especially the first quarter of 2021, to what happened in the first quarter of 20. No, it's not legitimate. It's completely illegitimate. It's done for a political purpose. In Chicago, in the mainstream media, it's for clicks. And CWB, it's both for political, to drive a political agenda because they have one. It's not based in science. It's based in probably, we don't know who the people are, but I think it's mostly white men know best from everyone, right? We don't have to have science or research. We just know better than everyone. To some degree, you're getting that with Paul Vallis and his tweets on crime and violence. It's pretty sad, but this is another thing. This article is about how, with ridership low on the Redline, violent crime is through the roof in 2021, the first quarter compared to first quarter of 2020. Well, hey, let's think. As I said on Wednesday, and I think I said on Monday, and I think I've said in many, many previous shows, definitely the one with Loyola researchers Don Steeman, professors Don Steeman and Dave Olson. Of course, it's higher. All crime numbers are going to be higher. You have unprecedented economic, housing, and health insecurity with a worldwide pandemic that has killed over 550,000 Americans in 12 months, 13 months maybe. Probably a lot more when we look at the people that died between like November of 19 till the middle of March, when it really supposedly set in the country. You can't compare those numbers. It's invalid. It's for politics. It's for clicks. It's dishonest. And I mean, that's what you get from crime in Wrigleyville. It's not a shock. It's an anonymous news sort of political operation. Of course, crime is up in Redline. Of course. What do you mean? There's no one riding it. There are very few people riding it. You know what deters crime just about as good as anything else? Especially violent crime, especially crime to strangers, armed robberies, a lot of people being around, right? And we all know this. That's why you get on an L train. Do you go for the one that has no one in it or one person in it, or do you go for the one that has 20 or 30 people in it? Most of the time you go for 20 or 30 people just because you feel safer, because you know you're safer. You know what the data shows, you're safer. So, yeah, violent crime is through the roof because we have an extension of this pandemic and everything it's brought on. So comparing the first 3 months, the first quarter of 2021 to the first quarter of 20 is illegitimate. It's what these Crime in Wrigleyville, Chicago City Wire, Chicago Contrarian, if I'm getting the name right, that's what they do. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see this get picked up by the Tribune or Sun-Times for clicks. Oh my God, it's out of control. What is really the worst epidemic, besides obviously the pandemic, but in reporting, is the reporting. Is this misuse, clickbait, exploitation of violence and crime in Chicago for money, for clicks, for attention. And for Crime in Wrigleyville blog or CWB Chicago, for Chicago City Wire, it used to be for Second City Cop blog sometimes. They're just doing it for attention. It's a political agenda. This is, these sites, to a large extent, should be thought of as Newsmax or OAN, One American News. I mean, that's how illegitimate they should be viewed. It's not always that they're just making stuff up. It's that it's so without context and it's so exploited that they're just pushing an agenda. It's not about really informing and educating the public and giving them information to live their lives and hold people to account. That's not what it is here. It's quite the opposite. So I wouldn't recommend reading it. We're doing enough of that for you. We're starting a special blog series on our website, which I'll be bringing up in the next couple of weeks, maybe as early as next week if the first one is published next week, about looking at reporting on a week's basis, a week of reporting from Crime and Wrigleyville blog, CityWire, the Chicago Contrarian, and other sites, similar sites, to just analyze how they're misreporting crime and violence and what agenda, and deciphering it, what agenda they're pushing.